Welcome to the Roundtable Podcast, and I am your host, Mr. Bouchel, Antonio Bouchel, of the Roundtable Podcast. And guys, we have a interesting show, to say the least, for this pod today. I think it's going to spill over to another one, but in this particular segment, we're going to talk about sexual harassment. I don't know if it's dealing basically in the workplace, but just in general, sexual harassment. I believe that this is this Sexual Harassment Month? What is this?
Sexual Assault Awareness Month.
Sexual Assault Awareness Month. So I think this is a great time to talk about this topic, or to have this topic. We have our guest, our co-host here today. We have Lovely T, Lady B, and our RW3, who will be joining us later on during the pod. But guys, we're here with this interesting topic. Before we get started, we do have a special guest all the way from Nigeria.
That's right.
Nigerian. We have Nimi, who is. We'll talk about our guest in just a moment. But before we go into talking about our guests, guys, we would love for you to share this page, to share this pod. Guys, you can go to our Facebook, which is on the screen now, as well as our YouTube page, as well as our Instagram. You can even go on our website, guys, to join us. I know that things have changed up with this Facebook, where there's some things that we're limited in doing now. Those things are watch parties.
It's gone now.
It's gone now, when you can't do watch parties. What else is you can't like?
Yeah, well, analytics, that's for us.
Yeah, the analytics, that's for us. So it's going to move a little slower than normal in terms of people catching on. But if you see us and if you like this, share. Definitely share this podcast. This is definitely an interesting podcast to even be a part of, guys. And it's like over 100 pods on our YouTube channel that you can go and visit. Guys, no charge to you, right? You can just go there and look at these free videos, right? So and do so. We definitely want you to do so. They're definitely interesting, guys. And we're going to go ahead and get into our today's topic about sexual harassment. I keep saying I want to say in the workplace.
Yeah, but that's what we're going to be touching on today.
Yeah, so let Lady be interested. Go ahead and who is our guest on today?
All right. So we have our guest today is Nimi, all the way from Nigeria. So we want to welcome you today, Nimi, on the Roundtable Podcast. We really thank you for coming on to share information with our audience.
That's right.
Thank you. So Nimi, she's a writer. She's a sexual, productive health and rights advocate. She's a communication strategist and Young African Leaders Initiative, Common Purpose, and Margaret Equal Youth Fellow. Mimi is presently the project manager of NG Women for Peace. It's a nationwide peace advocacy led by Nigerian women. Thank you for being on here today with us, Nimi.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. So we're going to kind of just summarize what we'll be talking about today in this episode. Sexual harassment, as we know, that many women are faced with while at work, and some are afraid to report it due to fear of losing their jobs, or vice versa, or even losing their visas. Some businesses have gotten to the point of making their employees sign confidentiality forms, making it hard for them to come forth when they are sexually harassed at work. A 2018 survey by the AHRC found around 85% of women have been sexually harassed and 39% have been sexually harassed at work in the last 5 years. A Chinese office worker had recently beat her boss with a mop because he sexually harassed her while at work, and he was later fired. So we're going to kind of look at this video real quick to kind of like give everybody an idea of what happened. If our producer can play that video, that would be greatly appreciated.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and play this video. Okay, here we go.
We got some audio.
And then we can get some audio. I'm surprised they blotted out his face.
你敢做事儿，你就应该都想到这一步啊！不是所有小姑娘都能一直忍着的。哎呦我的天哪！我的天哪！我都没想到，没想到。没想到这么刚是不是啊？王周博，第一回、第二回为啥忍着？你自己知道吗？因为咱俩不是一个部门的，我知道你他妈是个疯狗，是他妈喝酒说话就下道。虽然咱俩没一起吃过饭，但是这他妈的全区都他妈知道，自己啥逼样吧？我不愿勒你。他们给我发第三回，我之前我就寻思了，王周博，第一再一，第二不能再三，他还给我来个再三。听到你就能给人发这种信息，你是干啥的呀？你是人家上级领导，你这傻逼。
What happened?
你开你妈的逼玩笑！我操你妈的！你给人发这种信息是开玩笑？操你妈！你开你妈的逼啊！操你妈的！啊！开你妈的逼！操你妈的啊！哎呦，你开个玩笑！我现在在那个
All right, so this is kind of showing that he got later fired, but that was just kind of.
So what did he actually do?
Well, it didn't really go into exactly. I know it says that he sexually harassed her while working. You know, I guess he'll probably do things, probably touch on her, who knows, and do different little things, whatever. So I guess she got fed up with it, and she came in there with the mop, you know, and beat him.
And he later got fired.
He later got fired. You know.
Oh, for sexual harassment.
So
and looking at this video, you can go ahead and well, let's keep it. Well, I don't know. Don't worry about it. In looking at this video, I guess one of the things that when you know, and obviously we wasn't there, so I don't know the situation to this to what went on. But when you know somebody's guilty is when they don't stand up and fend for themselves. You know, he's getting hit with the mop, and he's just allowing this to happen as though you know you're wrong, and you allowing her to vindicate herself or whatever you might want to call it. So she commits to hit him, and like she was even hitting him in the face, or she was hitting him somewhere where this guy was actually, I know he had to be feeling whatever it is. She was very, very, very upset. And I guess that goes to, let's get into this conversation. Yeah. And before we get into this, maybe Nimi can tell us a little about.
Did you see what the producer put up, Tom?
What happened?
It says the boss was accused of sending sexualized texts to the women and other women of the same workplace.
Wow.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So he was nasty.
So there was some empowerment there. You know, there was definitely some empowerment there for this thing to happen, right? So, but you know, I want to get into it. I want Nimi to tell us, get a little bit more into what it is she do with your business. Can you talk a little bit about it? I don't know if there's a delay.
Okay. So I'm gonna kind of punch on some until she chime in. I'm gonna punch in on some more statistics. It says that in 2018, workplace sexual harassment cost $2.6 billion in lost productivity and $0.9 billion in other financial costs. Deloitte SS Economic found. That's what they found out. So a lot of money has been lost in productivity because of sexual harassment in the workplace. So I don't know.
And that's been known. I mean, you know, that's been known. And I would say, like, I'm not a HR person or a legal person, but being in leadership, you know, and having to know the code of conduct in my places of work. Typically, you know, harassment is
Hello?
any. Oh, there she go.
Hey, Nimi.
Hello, can you hear me?
Oh, we can hear you
We can
now.
hear you now. I guess we were trying to, we just lost her.
Yeah.
We just lost her. But we're going to go
Well,
ahead.
I was I was just gonna finish and say, like, typically it's any unwanted advances. So for an employer, you know, you have that consent piece that gets to be very tricky, or can be very tricky or dicey, you know what I mean? But it's any kind of unwanted, that's the key word, unwanted sexual advancement. And in some cases, it doesn't even have to be you. Like, if you are in the presence of someone flirting with someone else, like, it could even stretch that far, because now you're uncomfortable. You're forced to be in an uncomfortable situation because of someone else's actions. So that's what I've known sexual harassment to kind of be defined in the workplace per se.
Oh, wow.
And it says right here real quick, it said only 17% of women report workplace sexual harassment, and other, like Meg, cannot speak about it because they are forced to sign a confidentiality agreement to receive compensation. So it's a lot of that going on now, where a lot of these companies, small businesses, they are making their employees sign confidentiality agreements so that you can't report things like this, or you won't get compensated.
Wait a minute. So you're saying is that they'll make you sign an agreement to say that you wasn't sexually harassed?
I don't know. I'm thinking more of to say not to really talk about it. Really, maybe they can have it like reported, but it probably like stay confidential or whatever, where they can't speak on it. You know.
So now, is that a who knows if that's something that is a crime? Is sexual harassment a crime?
Well, it says here, it says associate professor in law at the University of Technology, Sydney Karen O'Connell, says said the result is a culture of silence at every step of the complaint process, which contributes to a legal and regulatory system that largely favors the employer.
Wow.
Absolutely.
So in other words,
and I don't know that, like, it's not, so like you say, it gets a little tricky, because, you know, if it's a sexual assault, then certainly you can make a police report and take that person through, you know, prosecution or whatever. But in terms of an employer, I believe that, you know, it's grounds for termination. You know what I mean? But if it's so in an employer's case, like this guy was sending, you know, text messages. I doubt in American legal system that any prosecutor would take that to court. You know what I mean? Like, if anything, they would say, go file a PPO, right? Yeah. But for the employer, it could be grounds for termination.
Well, it hasn't people like, can't you get sued, be placed in a lawsuit for sexual harassment?
Can
yeah, I mean, that's what the Me Too movement was all about for the rich folks.
Yeah.
You know, all of the stars, the females and males who were assaulted. You know, it ranged anything from harassment to assault, in order to get the part or stay in the movie, or, you know what I mean? So yeah, they sued, yeah.
And they also said that some of these women that even be coming from other countries or whatever, or trying to come over with get visas, so they be using that against them. They'll say, well, you know, I'm not going to, you know, give you your visa. So they'll, you know.
Oh, absolutely. That's a huge part of trafficking, you know, and I know that's not the topic for today, but in terms of international trafficking, you know, even for sex, whether it's sex or labor, they dangle that visa as a carrot. You know, when you talk about the undocumented workers in the southern states, you know, those that are coming over from Mexico or South America, you know, there's a lot of that goes on, you know, especially when they're in the farms, you know, and hospitality. They are constantly exposed to sexual harassment on the job and forced to work in conditions that are just deplorable. So yeah, it's really huge.
Okay, and even in saying that, you even have the situation now with, do you guys know about the Black woman that's at Amazon? She's suing Amazon allegedly for sexual harassment on the job. She's been sexual harassed on the job by her colleagues, and you know, I think multiple times. And I'm trying to find that video. Mimi, can you what can you say about sexual harassment? Like, how is that over in your country? How do you guys deal with that, or do you find that there's a lot of women that's dealing in that area of being sexual harassed on the job?
Okay, yeah, so that is quite a common experience here as well. And even though this is kind of out, I think I experienced something similar to that, but this is sexual harassment where I'm leaving my landlord coming on to me. Yeah, there's that, and there's a lot of and I can't really do anything here because I'm living here and I don't want trouble for myself. So yeah, it's quite common here, sexual harassment at workplaces. It can be hard to get job here because unemployment rate is very high. So women who are fortunate in quote to get a job would like to keep that job at all costs. And considering how I would like to say, considering how marriages are unfair to women here, some women need to hang on to their jobs. They need to hang on to the money they can make to ensure that at a point when they need to, I don't know, leave abusive relationship or abusive marriages, there's something they can fall back on. So some women actually they stay in unconducive and toxic workplaces just so they can earn money, because getting a good paid employment here is very hard, and the number of girls are educated here compared to boys, it's very low. So the workforce is more favorable for men than women. In fact, the workforce is very masculine. Yeah, it's like it's a capitalist thing. It's literally created for men. So women who are fortunate to actually get jobs would like to keep their jobs at all costs because they want to be able to take care of themselves, because the society is very violent to them and they need money to be able to get through the violence that they experience on a daily basis. Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this. Let me ask you, guys, we're talking to Nimi from Nigeria. She's in Nigeria, and we're talking to her, and we're talking about this sexual harassment that's going on, you know, in even over in Nigeria. It doesn't matter where we are, you know, it's still going on, and it to me it seems like there is a pattern where it's a power trip, where if I'm in power and you're not, you know what I mean? It's like a control type deal where now I use this to get what I want because I know that I'm in power to even pretty much even get away with it. So I know that you need something. So, and I'm harassing you. You better do something for me if you want to keep this. You know, it seemed like that pattern is constantly going on. Just like, what's his name? The one guy who went to prison. You guys know I'm talking about, the famous guy in Hollywood who was sleeping around. Yeah, Epstein, is it him? Where he was these people, in order to get the acting role, you know, he would make a move on them. You know, it's always that same pattern I always see of
Mhm.
authority. You know, do you see that same thing happening in Nigeria, Nimi?
Yeah, it's power imbalance. So the people who are atop the ladder, that's maybe the employer or whoever is senior at the workplace, they have power over. There's something as power over, power to, power with. So these employers or these managers or those who are higher in rank have the power over those who are under them. So that power imbalance leaves those that are under them to be more vulnerable and, in quotes, be at their mercy. Because sometimes, like I said, it's hard to leave. So that's why they would be at their mercy, because they have power over them.
Yeah.
So it's power imbalance. And that is very common between men and women relationships. Yeah.
And
so what can I ask Nimi? So Nimi, what kind of recourse do women have? Like, are there sexual harassment policies in the workplace?
Yeah, well, I think each workplace should have its own sexual harassment policy and a reporting system in case there's any sexual harassment case. There's like a rank you go to. I think you are supposed to start, depending on who harasses you, you're supposed to start from the HR. So every workplace should actually have a sexual harassment policy, and the HR of that workplace should know about it and know when to effect it once a worker lodges a complaint. So if the sexual harassment was by the boss, you go to the HR. If it was by somebody in your HR, you go to your line manager. And if it's by if it's by maybe say the executive director or something, and the HR is not doing anything, then you can get the law involved. You can get maybe an organization that is advocating for victims or survivors of gender-based violence to take the case to court rather. Yeah, that's if the workplace is not doing anything, because they tend to bury this thing under the rug like so quickly, because they know women are not going to say anything. They want to keep their job. There's so much victim blaming here. They'll be like, oh, maybe you seduced him. Oh, job is very scarce. Yeah, you really want to lose your job over this. Oh, they do it. Everyone does it. Why are you so different? Why? There's so much victim blaming. So most of the time, women now even see it as something that is normal. I mean, someone said that to me when I told them about the old landlord coming on to me. I was like, this is what happens. I was like, no, it's not normal. It's not normal at all.
And then they said that
so we've normalized sexual harassment, basically.
Yeah.
It said that a lot of women are being silenced. It says whoever Meg was, Meg's employer made her feel like what happened to her was her fault. She told the business that the complaint process was re-traumatizing. So a lot of these women are being silenced. Their voices are not being heard. They're making it seem like it's, their fault that it happened. And I think that's an issue, when they blame the victim.
So when they say their fault, when they believe that it's their fault, first of all, even on this channel, we definitely want to make sure you understand it's never your fault. Right. Those who have been harassed, it's never your fault. It's that whoever started it, I mean, I don't know, whatever freaking nature this person may be, this dealing whatever what that person is dealing with, is their fault. You get what I mean? So it's never your fault, and you always got to make sure you don't take the blame for whatever happens to you. And we definitely want to keep that and push that out there. But one of the things that I see that there are people that are getting away with it. And there's people that's been getting away with it for so many years, even with and I want to throw this out here, but I don't really want to, but even in the Bill Cosby situation, the Bill Cosby situation where, I mean, that went on for,
people did not want to believe that their beloved Pudding Pop Cosby was drugging women, and I mean, like, people were angry that we hoisted a black man, and then at that, Bill Cosby America's beloved, Cosby, and hoisted him in a light that was, unfavorable, and just,
Right.
was a predator. He was wrong, but a lot of people were not ready for that. Not in the Black community.
Yeah, they didn't want it. We didn't want to accept it. But is a thing where I guess I'm saying is that if you are being sexually harassed, wherever it is, you need to report it. Don't allow, and see, this is the thing. When you leave the job, when you say, I'm just going to leave so this person, because I'm not going to get any support in this area. But guess what happens? When you leave, the next person steps in, they're going to keep doing it. So it's always going to be this person who would feel empowered to find the right person. Like Nimi said, she made a statement where she said that, they look at it as being normal. And they looking at her as though you're weird if you're not doing it if you want to make money. This is something that we just do. Now, to what level? Like when they talk about sexual harassment, what are some signs of sexual harassment? Do anybody know?
Well, I know real quick before we get into that. They said that first, workplace sexual harassment is illegal under the Title, I believe, 7 of the Civil Rights Act, which applies to employers with 15 or more employees. Outlaws to 2 types of sexual harassment: is quid pro quo harassment and hostile work environment. So quid pro quo harassment.
Quid pro quo.
Yeah.
Sorry. Quid pro quo.
It's something like this: I'll give you the promotion if you sleep with me, or
Right.
I'll fire you unless you go out with me. So that's the first one. The second one is hostile work environment. It occurs when the employee is subjected to unwelcome physical or verbal conduct of a sexual nature that is so severe or persuasive as to alter the employee's working conditions or create an abusive work environment.
See now, Nimi, let me ask you a question. Have you heard these terminologies? Or do you know anybody who this is very popular to hear these, where they're bribing? We lost her again. We lost Nimi. But guys, RW3, we see the RW3 is in. But we're saying, I guess we're talking about this sexual harassment situation, and you might be able to. Nimi is back. I see Nimi is back. Nimi.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't get your question.
Okay, my question was that have you heard people, or do you know of anybody who came on to someone and they use that, saying that if you do this for me, you will get like a raise or you won't get fired? Have you ever heard the terminologies before?
Oh yes, I have. But in this situation, it was in my university. There's a lot of sexual harassment going on in the university as well. Yes, something like, if you don't do this, I'm going to fail you. You're not going to graduate if you don't sleep with me. It's very common, yeah.
Wow.
So yes, I have heard it.
That's terrible. That's terrible.
Yeah.
It's
Girls stay in school for this. Some girls don't get to graduate when they're supposed to because their lecturers are on to them and will not leave them alone till they sleep with them.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
For this.
So are you saying that they're like some of the professors there, they will actually try to get the women to have sex with them in order for them to graduate?
Yes.
That's terrible. That's terrible. That's terrible to put that up. Yeah. And see, I guess that's the thing that we have to deal with, and make these people pay for what it is that they're doing, or we have to confront them publicly. You know what I mean? And I guess I'm just trying to find out, what should we do about it? Like, what are some things we could do? What were you going to say?
Well, I want to talk about some of the types of inappropriate conduct first.
Okay.
So some workplace conduct is clearly sexual harassment. For example, unwanted kissing, touching of breasts or genitals, butt slapping, rape, other forms of sexual assault, requests for sexual favors, making sexually explicit comments, uninvited massages, sexually suggestive gestures, cat calls, onglings, or cornering someone in a tight space. It can be. It just goes down the list. So those are some of the conduct.
And that's good.
They have to watch out for.
And those are some of the things that you're going to have to watch out for. I mean, these days you have to be crazy to be out there, especially here in America. You have to be crazy.
But it still happens. I mean, you know, it still happens. And just for me, like, I know I was working at a place that was mainly women. And so to go from there to a place where it was still mainly women, but there were some men, and it was a culture shock because the level of comfort that the men have with the women, the joking and, like you say, coming up behind you and maybe massaging you, or like it was truly a culture shock for me, because I'm coming from like this empowerment, like, you know, we don't tolerate, you know, catcalling and all that, to an environment where the women said this. You know, it was almost like I had to, like, when in Rome, do as the Romans. I had to, like, get comfortable with what was considered normal in this workplace. But so it still goes on, you know, it still goes on.
And it's not
to the degree, I'm sorry, it's not to the degree of, like, some of the things, Lady B, that you mentioned, but the joking can get inappropriate at times. But everybody is like hee hee ha ha, you know, nobody is coming across as being offended. But when you allow that level of comfort, it's almost like a slippery slope. When does it become, you know what I'm saying, when does it become uncomfortable? And then at that point, the argument is, well, you didn't have a problem with my other jokes, so why you got a problem with this one? You know what I mean?
So then some other things it mentions repeated compliments of an employee's appearance, commenting on the attractiveness of others in front of an employee, discussing one's sex life in front of an employee, asking an employee about his or her sex life, circulating new photos of women in bikinis or shirtless men in the workplace, making sexual jokes, like you said, sending sexually suggestive text messages or emails,
just like the guy did.
Leaving unwanted gifts of a sexual or romantic nature, and spreading sexual rumors about an employee, and repeated hugs or other unwanted touches, such as hand on a employee's back, or so forth.
I guess my thing, I think RW3 is going to say it before. I want to just say this. Listen, one of the things that you should definitely pay attention to is that when someone is touching you without your consent.
Yeah.
If someone is saying things to just try you in the workplace, because you got guys that, I mean, one of the biggest places that played out in, and I know it because I worked there at the time, was, I'm not going to say that, one of the big threes. I'll just say it like that. I mean, it was terrible. I'm talking terrible, where these men and women, with these guys, they were, I mean, it was, the bosses was, they were doing their things to some of these women, but the women was like, I can't say that all was, you know, allowed it, but some I knew, one in particular I knew, she didn't seem like she mind whatever when he made these advances, but it put her in bigger positions out there on the line. You know what I mean? So, but I mean, it's just, I mean, we have to understand where the signs are first. And make sure that you're not, and again, I'm not saying, because you do have this thing where we can give into the play conversation. And sometimes you have men or women that will see how far you will go, or how far they can pull those strings just to see where you are before they lay into you. So you have to look for those signs to know when it's what is that, gone too far. When it's gone too far, I'll kick it with you, but I'm not going to take it to this level. And you have to cut it off right away so they'll know that, okay, I see they don't want to go down that road, even with the name calling or talking about what you have on. Listen, you have to stop it right then and there, or if not, it's going to go too far. It's going to start even on your work, even on your job. I'm not saying you're the reason, but don't give into it. Do what you can do. If you know that, this thing is like it's going too far, and you already know sometimes it's hard to prove sexual harassment on the job. Sometimes it can be very hard to prove.
Yeah.
But so you got to make sure that you're doing what you can do. Say, hey, listen, I'm not about that life. I don't play those games. So listen, I'm cutting this off right now. Don't touch me. You see what I mean? Don't speak that way to me. You know what I mean? You have to, there's something that you're going to have to do. Some things you're going to have to do. What are you going to say, RW3?
And I think, in terms of sexual harassment in the workplace, and this is not to, because some people get offended, this is not to minimize or downplay the legitimacy of valid sexual harassment, claims by women in the workplace. But sometimes, dealing with the double standard of it, when in fact, for example, personally experiences where I can have, sometimes they're able to say things, women to men, and it doesn't seem to be, because I think a lady B, she, mentioned about commenting on what someone is wearing on a regular basis. A female at work would, oh, you really look nice. Oh, I love that color suit you have on. Oh, and I thank you and keep moving. On the reverse, like what Lady B said, if it's said by me, it's sexual harassment. Yeah. So like you said, Tone, it has to be, this is the workplace where no one can do it. No one can say it. This is the boundary. This is the expectation. These things can't be said to anyone. I mean, you either have to have it in the workplace environment for both sexes to lessen the likelihood of things happening. Because, still, some people still push the envelope, but it's clear no matter who says it, who does it, who creates the uncomfortability between one another. And I think that will help, in that environment. But go ahead.
Mimi,
I heard somebody say something.
Mimi, was you going to say something?
So that's just my thought.
Okay, so based on what he said before, I think that's why boundary setting is very important. Once you enter a new environment, you set your boundary. You let people know what you can take and what you would not take. So I think that's rooted in each person's values, our core values. Yeah. So I think I mentioned earlier that sexual harassment policy for each workplace, like not just the general laws against sexual harassment in the country, but each workplace should actually have its own sexual harassment that is written, and every new employer knows once they start working at an organization, this is what our sexual harassment policy is. I think recently we're having a discussion about what employers should ask during an interview. And I think one of the questions you as someone who is being interviewed should ask your interviewer is, what is a sexual harassment policy in this organization? Any organization that does not have a sexual harassment policy, that is a red flag. Yeah, that means true. Sexual harassment is probably going on and they are not doing anything about it, or they don't even know when it's going on, and there's no proper reporting channel. So yeah, every employee should know what the sexual harassment policy is, so that there's a standard, so that when something happens, you can know, okay, this is not sexual harassment policy, this is not acceptable. So that it's not just about, oh, this is acceptable for men, it's not acceptable for women. No, it should not be acceptable for anybody, because it's a standard in that workplace. So there should be a standard in every workplace, and part of their standard should be a sexual harassment policy. Yeah.
Well, Nimi, if I could ask just a couple of things run across my mind, because you made an important point in earlier when you described the different powers, right? So there's power with, there's power over, power. So you talked about this dynamic being power over someone. So I think you're absolutely right in terms of companies needing to have a sexual harassment policy and you feeling empowered enough in that interview and brave enough, really, right, in that interview to even ask, because being one that hires and interviews, if someone were to ask me that question, I'm immediately going to think, why? Have you been caught up in some drama before? Like, is this something I want to take on in my company? You know what I mean? So because of the culture that is nestled in, right? Because it's still very much power over. And to your point, RW3, whether it's happening to the man or it's happening to the woman, it's still like a power over kind of a thing. So when we talk about like women who are disenfranchised, and I'm saying women because it mainly happens to women, but I'm not saying that to exclude men because I know it happens to men too. But I'm thinking about, like I said, the migrant workers, people who are in hospitality, people who are in farm work, people who are in these very low wage paying jobs. Like, they don't have the luxury, unfortunately, to, and you made this point, Nimi, to even think about that, because really it boils down to, I need this paycheck. So do I accept the conditions to take this paycheck, or do I hold my morals and values and be jobless? And so that's sometimes a luxury that a lot of, low paying, low wage jobs, low wage people who are forced in those kind of positions don't have.
But see, here's the thing, and that was a great point from both of you guys. But see, here's the thing, right? Coming from someone who deals in business, and one of our procedures, one of the things that we live religiously by is always have documentation. When I deal with any business, and I'm going to show you how you can use this even with what it is you do. When I deal with any business, and I know, if it's always through emails where there's documentation of what you said to me, what I've said to you, where I'm always going into any situation, always thinking legal all the time. Doesn't matter what the situation is, I'm always having a legal standpoint because I just don't know what can happen. So I'm going to keep documentation, data, anything that I can keep on whatever conversation that we had. So if anything go down, I can use it to my benefit, right? Okay, so in saying that, on the job, what are some things that you can do that can cover yourself? Even if you don't, see, here's the thing. It's good to know the company policies, right? Even if you don't want to go and ask the question about sexual harassment, I asked them, where are the policy? Is anybody I can get a policy of the brochure, whatever the things that about for your company? So then you can look at those areas within that company. But now here's the thing. You definitely want to know it. But even if you don't, whenever you see a situation that you're put in, maybe the first time you don't have an opportunity to record it, but you notice this person is being suspect. You know what I would do? Whenever I see this person, I would make sure I have my phone on. I have a recorder on. I'm telling you, if I know that this is that type of person, I would write down the date and time so it'd be time stamped of what happened. I will put a detailed situation in there, and then I would say what I did in that situation, right? Because I'm trying to keep records. So if I've ever lost my job, if I'm ever put out on my job, I have a recourse. What does that mean? I can take this to an attorney. I can go to the job. First, I'll go to my employer and tell them what has happened, show them that I've been talking to this person. I even reached out to a person to see, about getting help, but I have plenty of documentation. I have voice record of what's going on so I can sock them in the eye. And I'm going to tell you this, that I may leave that job, but I'm taking some of your money with me. You get what I mean? Because I'm going to put you in a lawsuit. But if women don't back themselves, because here's a lot of time, what happens is when you get yourself in those predicaments and when it's time to prove it now, you can't prove it. you can't prove it. So make an effort to write down those things that's been, even if it's like you said, if it's your landlord or whatever, write these things down. Give a description of what happened, what he said, and what I said back to him. Try to have your phone recording, because you know when you go around this person, they're definitely going to say something. So just push record. Push record on your phone and get this conversation going. And that's all. Sometimes that's all you need in order to get it in front of a judge or to get a lawyer to take your case. And then you can go ahead and pursue them. You know, it's been times where if me and my wife didn't have a contract, if we didn't have documentation of people emailing me, I always want you to talk back to, I'm giving my strategy, but I always want you to talk back to me email. So when I'm typing, you type it. So guess what? That's what saved our case for one of these schools in Ohio when we sued them. You know, we got our money because we had documentation of everything you said and everything I said, and we just happened to be in the right and we won the lawsuit. You know what I mean? So it's just it takes those little things that can help protect you if the workforce or the workplace is not if they don't have your back. At least you have something to go on. And I'm telling you, you can do those little things, but you have to be consistent in doing it, because that can pretty much save you financially.
And you know what, Tom? It's powerful that you said that. This is a real life situation. I was doing some contract work, for the state. And so I went, we were going into homes with some child protective services things. So when I went to the home, it was the girlfriend and the boyfriend. So what happened was I did a little intake, and when I talked to the state person, they said, well, he don't supposed to be there. I said, okay, when I go back over there, I need to get you on the phone, and I want you to communicate to tell him that. I don't want him thinking as a male, I'm trying to get him out of his environment. So I need you to say this. So what happened was we was on the call, boom. So I was meeting him at a Wendy's, and I would meet her in the home. So the first time I met her in the home, we were, talking, and she was like, when we did the intake, I really couldn't be honest because him and the domestic violence and, things of that nature, right? So we went through the process. I'm leaving. She gets up and put her arm, hugs me. So I get in the car, I call, I said, listen, call the state. I said, this is what is going on with this person moving forward. Either I want you to come or I want to have you on the call, right? We go through all the process. The state says, okay, we want you to work with the kids. I get a call. The office who I was contracted with, they said, well, this woman, because I think the guy didn't want me to continue working with the family, so I guess he might have coerced her. She called the office and said, I was either out of line or inappropriate, but then they said, but we talked to the state worker. They said you had kept him involved the whole time, so we know it's not valid. Had I not done that tone off the first one, I'd have been up the creek. I'd have been up the creek. I called immediately. I said, hey, because ultimately, when you get that word, somebody's word against somebody's word, depending on how compelling someone is in their argument, your name and who you are can be tarnished, even though it's not true, because someone made an argument that seems to be believable.
Yeah, that's right. So it's important that you document everything. If you know that this person can call you know the signs. We just gave you the signs. And I'm talking to our audience out there. We know the signs just by what Lady B read. From our perspective, we're not professionals in this area, but we're just telling you things from what these third-party resources are giving us. At the same time, our personal experiences in dealing with taking people to court. Nimi, is there something that you want to add with this?
Totally. Okay, so I have an experience from school. I'm not going to mention it. I had this lecturer in school who did something very unprofessional, and I had to open a Google folder and I took screenshots of all the transactions that were not supposed to happen. And I opened a Google folder and I saved everything there. I only deleted it recently because I'm going to need this help to get my transcript. But I saved that folder for like 2 years. I saved it for 2 years. I had everything there, screenshots, bank receipts of buying stuff. I had everything in that Google folder. I saved everything. So yes, I know how important record keeping is. But there are situations where sexual harassment happen without the survivor knowing that it was going to happen. Sometimes your boss might just call you into their office and you might not even go with your phone and you wouldn't know anything was going to happen. So in situations like that, we have to I think the survivor in that case should communicate immediately. I know they might still be in shock, but there should be someone else who is like a witness. Tell someone else immediately it happens, so they can be a witness if there's going to be a case in the future. In case it's a kind of situation you can record or screen grab or you get what I'm saying. So just make sure that you have a witness, either most importantly at your workplace, because they might not believe the word of your friend at your workplace. So they might believe a co-worker standing for you that, oh, they told me when this happened. Yeah.
And I wanted to ask you, Nimi, like, here in America, we've had the Me Too movement and a lot of things on a more macro level that have shifted. It has shifted the culture for it to be more safe for a person in that situation to speak up and speak out. Has any of that permeated to Nigeria, or maybe even on your own of your own efforts? Has the culture shifted or leaning in that direction?
Oh my, yes, totally. We had there was this Arewa Me Too. We had Arewa Me Too, yeah. It's actually still ongoing. It's a movement by Fakria Hashim. I don't know how to pronounce her name. So it's a Me Too movement in the northern state in Nigeria. A group of women discovered that there's a lot of sexual harassment in the northern space here, and a lot of women came out. A lot of survivors came out on Twitter to tell their stories. We've had Market Me Too, where a couple of women, no, not a couple of, a lot of women went on a march into a marketplace in Lagos State, Nigeria, where girls and women usually get harassed when they are buying stuff. They went on a protest in the market. There's been a protest. There was a time in 2018 where sex workers were arrested and they were raped by policemen. Yeah, they were raped, and there was a protest. I organized one in Ibadan. There was one in Lagos, and there was one in Abuja. Yeah, so we've had a lot of women speaking out, breaking their silence, and a number of movements here to encourage survivors to speak up and support them when they do.
That's great. That's great. It is a lot. I think now is a great time for people to speak out about any injustice that's been done to them, especially in this old thing that's been going. Sexual harassment is so old. It's been going on for probably before I was even born, right? You know what I mean? So it's been going on for so long, and so many people have given up. They just left their job. They think nobody can hear their voice. I mean, some of them just take it. I mean, if you go through Hollywood and you really get to the point of the essence of people who started their jobs and how they went about getting hired into some fields, and you probably find sexual harassment somewhere down the line. Even what's his name? The one guy, what's the actor name who said the guy touched his genitals or tried to grab for him, or what was his name?
Terry Crews.
Yeah, he even talked about him being a man and how this guy, at a party, wanted and tried to grab for him. I mean, it's just this thing here where these guys are, whoever they are, they're cocky. They're very cocky people, you know, where they feel like because they're empowered, they can do and make these moves. But I'm just telling you, even if I don't know per se of what to do, I can definitely stress, you know, like we had a lot of different solutions to what we know. If you don't have your phone, make a mental memory of what just happened and get to your desk and write down everything. Put it down on pen and paper. These are some things you can do. Like Nimi said, tell someone that's near you immediately after you left out of the room so that you can build that as a witness and you've written it down if you didn't have your phone. But I'm saying if it caught you off guard, chances are it might happen again. So what you do is you be well prepared for if this person call you anywhere that you have, it could be your supervisor. They don't have to necessarily call you in a room. That you could be on a working line and they start making suggestions to you. Have your phone if you can make that available to record this stuff. I mean, these are some things that you definitely can do that would, if you're put in a position to take someone to court, chances are they're not going to have any documentation proving that you're lying. You give them, you know what I mean? You're going to have more proof showing that you're telling the truth about what it is that happened to you. And guess what? It doesn't matter how much money you have. If you have a memory and you have some witness, that's strong enough to sometimes that could be strong enough to win your case. You know what I mean? So that's something that you can do. And that's, I guess, in my situation, that's all I really care about is that you being justified, you being taken care of for whatever that's happened because your job is on the line. You know, whatever may happen.
And I think we are in a great time, Tone. I think you're right about that. In terms of like our access to technology, like Nimi talked about taking screenshots and, you know, recording on the phone. And like you said, if he did it once, he or she did it once, there's a high probability they'll do it again. So even if you get caught off guard that first time, it's like, okay, next time I will be prepared because, you know, we are in a shift where it's a safer place for people to express those kinds of things that are happening to them. And I wanted to echo your point too, in terms of like, for me, when someone approaches, well, I'm gonna say a guy, because typically that's what it is, approaches me, like they're testing, like, you know what I'm saying? Like you had mentioned earlier, like people are gonna test you. And so to me, it's real important while we're talking about solutions, it's real important how you respond to that very first reach out. You know, especially if it's not the normal, hi, how you doing? Maybe it is a compliment. You know what I mean? So if, and the key word in the definition of sexual harassment is unwanted. So if you're okay with receiving compliments, then you're okay with that. It's not unwanted. But if that is something that's unwanted, then you have to make sure your response is clear. It doesn't have to be nasty. You know, because I think, you know, sometimes people take it to the extreme in that regard. You know, they ready to cuss you out because you said, oh, you look nice today. It's like, you don't have to take it to that extreme. Just be clear, though. You know what I'm saying? That's not something that you welcome.
That's right.
And then that way, they already know, she not that type. So I'm gonna just keep it, you know, straight. Hi, how you doing? And keep it moving. But yeah, it's really important on how you respond to that very first gesture, inappropriate gesture, that's going to tell that person it's okay for me to go there with you, or it's not okay for me to go there with you.
That's right. And I think that if it's some type of landlord or someone that's in power, you definitely want documentation. You definitely want to be something that because they take a stronger risk of losing something because they're owners. You get what I mean? So suing them, they don't want to get sued. You know what I mean? Especially if they have something to lose. So you definitely want to get them. If they are a landlord, a boss, or anything like that, you want as much documentation as you can get because you definitely want to be thinking legal on them no good jokers. You want to, so that you can take from them and it'll teach them a lesson. What is it called? What is those fees called in Michigan? Where they don't use it in the medical.
Tort fees, the tort.
No, it's the other one. I forget the word. Punitive damages, right? Punitive damages. You definitely want to get them with them. Now, I don't know how it is in Nigeria. You know what I mean? But punitive damages can, I mean, that takes it to a whole nother level when getting paid money. Trust me. So the more documentation. I think for me, this is something that I will stress, because if you want to change these perverts' minds, go in their pocketbook. Get them in their pocketbooks. If they're owners, if they're business owners, and all, that's how you want to take care of them, to teach them that lesson. And trust me, when you take the money out of their pocket, that's a whole nother. They'll get themselves together because they losing money. And guess what? It saved face to some degree with you. You know, where if something you let go, well, at least you have some money. You know what I mean? Where you can go on to the next one and hey, whatever it is. But definitely you can win, or you do have a way of defense to defend yourself. You definitely want that. Don't be weak. Don't allow yourself to be weak. Because I mean, I can't, obviously I'm a man. I don't want to sound male chauvinist, but you know what I mean? I guess I don't, have that. You know what I mean? You get what I'm trying to say. It's not something that I've been dealing with sexual harassment, right? So for me, I can't imagine it, but I can't imagine it happening to other people, right? You know what I mean? So I just want you to be protected going in to fight and get something out of this. Get some value.
RW3, what about you? Have you ever been sexually harassed on the job?
I'm about to ask you, Lovely T, I was going to ask you.
But I asked you first.
What documentation did you have when that guy keeps rubbing his shoulders? What did you do?
No.
How did you fight that?
I asked you first.
How did you fight it?
I asked you first. I was, you know what? In my younger
we
years,
can't even hear.
RW3,
and RW3 froze. Yeah, he froze. But in my younger years,
okay.
Go ahead, Miss Nimi.
Okay, I think in a situation like that, what happened to Lovely T? If you can, in a situation where you can document, can you hear me? In a situation where you can't document or you can't have a witness, you write an email to your HR immediately and you copy your line manager that this person did this to me. So that, like you said, there's a documentation. You can even document via email to report sexual harassment, even if you don't have a physical evidence. Your word should count, since you are copying your line manager who probably can't stand for you. Yeah. And
a good reason why you would do that in terms of legal is because of the time stamp that's on there. It's probably better to send it through email, because you can prove that date and time that you sent it from the time that it happened. Yes. And that's giving you a little bit more leverage to possibly be telling the truth. You know what I mean? About your situation, because that's what it's all about. Yeah. Being able to say who is believable, in any situation. So
do you guys think that was good, what the lady did with the mop, or was that the wrong approach? What do you guys think?
Oh, look at that. Yeah, that's so sweet. Look at that.
Was that?
I love her. We need more ladies like that.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah. So what do you guys think? Do you guys think that was a wrong approach for the woman to go in there and start beating the boss with the mop?
Self-defense. It's self-defense.
Well, that was a great idea. That was a great idea too.
RW3, before you came on, we showed a video of this lady. She went back into the office with a broom or a mop, and she started hitting the boss with the mop.
Upside the head.
head and stuff.
So, but she might get in trouble if we don't want people
Well,
to do that.
I mean, I don't know if she could have got assault, if she could have got hit with assault. But I mean, they fired him because she went welling on my man. Hey, did you find that before we cut it? Did you find the Amazon? I mean, the
girl from
the video, Jasmine. Just play this video. I want to play this video while we're talking. I want y'all to play it.
Okay.
Lawsuit against Amazon and 2 managers claiming she was underpaid, stereotyped, sexually harassed, and sexually assaulted.
Well, she looks like someone who had enough, to be honest. She was tired.
Yeah. She was offered a job below the level and pay she had applied for. It's a practice known as down leveling. CBS This Morning Saturday co-host Michelle Miller sat down with the Amazon Web Services senior manager.
There's a problem with the culture and with practices.
Charlotte Newman says she's speaking out now because she thinks it's time for a change at Amazon.
It's time for Amazon to act with the same obsession internally, with the same rigor that we approach our businesses and our customers.
In the lawsuit, Newman, who's still employed by Amazon, alleges the company pays her less than people with similar experience. She says she's also been the victim of stereotypical racial tropes. In one instance, she says a coworker told her she looked like a gorilla, and she says a manager called her aggressive, too direct, and just scary.
I'm not here because it's just about me. You know, as the Vox reporting demonstrates, there's a pattern of systemic discrimination.
Newman's lawsuit came shortly after Vox's website, Recode, published an investigation into treatment of Black employees at Amazon.
I think a lot of these issues have been festering at the company.
Senior Recode correspondent Jason Del Rey says he spoke to 10 Black employees who told him they face both direct and insidious bias that harms their careers and personal lives.
There were some really awful experiences relayed to me. One comes to mind, about a Black employee who had a manager from another team tell her just sort of unprompted that he's pretty sure his ancestors had slaves at some point, but he thinks they were treated well.
Recode also reported that internal Amazon data shows Black corporate employees are promoted less frequently and rated more harshly by managers than non-Black employees. In response, an Amazon spokesperson told us, "We work hard to make Amazon a company where our Black employees and people of all backgrounds feel included, respected, and want to grow their careers, and they do not tolerate discrimination or harassment in any form."
Amazon needs to do more than just make statements about Black Lives Matter and make statements about what they're doing for Black employees and other employees of color, and have that actually show up in how employees are being treated.
Newman says for her, it went beyond racial discrimination and unfair pay. In her lawsuit, she says management engaged in repeated sexual harassment, including incidents of inappropriate, unwelcome touching and sexual assault. She says she was groped by a manager at a work function.
He put his hand on my thigh and began to rub and kind of caress my thigh and move up my leg. And I froze and was just completely embarrassed and just stunned at such a brazen act. You know, all of the time spent ensuring that, I'm coming into work and being a professional, just to be sort of reduced to that was very difficult.
The alleged incident happened in 2018, but Newman says she did not report it until last year.
I think he understood the gravity of what had happened in some ways, but I also think because he chose to put his hands on me again, clearly, to me, he demonstrated that he's a predator.
What happened the second time?
I was, again, at a work with colleagues. This was at an offsite, and I was getting ready to leave, and he grabbed my braids, and he made an offhand comment about you can leave these here.
Why did you decide to stay at Amazon?
Well, I think all too often, the brunt of sexual harassment and discrimination, it falls on the victim. And I felt, why should I be the one to leave one of the biggest, fastest growing companies in the world.
An Amazon spokesperson told CBS News, "We do not tolerate discrimination or harassment of any kind. We immediately investigated Ms. Newman's sexual harassment claim and fired her harasser." They added, "We also reviewed Ms. Newman's interview process, leveling, and onboarding, and determined that she was properly placed in her role at the company." Can things get better at Amazon for you?
I hope they get better for all employees. As I was coming here today, I was thinking about a quote by Coretta Scott King. It essentially says that struggle never ends. You constantly fight for freedom, and that every generation essentially has to do that.
That was our colleague Michelle Miller reporting. I do have a
I mean, that was I think that was the perfect video for this conversation that we're having. And she's dealing with that now. That's not something that's old. That's something that she's going through now with a major company, with a major company. And I hope that, that she gets what she deserves, in the end, because this is terrible. That was terrible. What happened to her. What do you guys think about that video?
Well, if you notice, they did fire her harasser, which they should have, but they didn't give her any, money. I know that our topic is about sexual harassment, but it said that her complaint was that not only was she being sexually harassed, she actually was sexually assaulted. So really, she can prosecute him for the sexual assault. But she also was saying that she came in and she was underpaid for, in comparison to other people with similar backgrounds and similar positions. And Amazon's response was, "We'll get rid of the harasser, but we're not giving you any more money." So that's what I took away from that.
Yeah.
See, so as we see the struggle for and how hard it is to even get anything. I mean, she's suing Amazon as it stands now. So she's in a lawsuit. I'm surprised she's still working for them, to be honest. And I think Amazon wouldn't dare let her go right now. You know what I mean? They probably would never let her go right now because they'll be placed in a position. Are you letting them go because of the lawsuit? So yeah, we really gonna come at you now. So, that's just one of those things. But being prepared, these perverts are everywhere. And see, I want to ask this question. Do we live in a society now where we have to actually think this way, going on a job, where we have to have our tools or women have to have some type of evidence set up because you just don't know what's going to happen? Should that be actually part of the job? Now, I'm going in this job thinking that it could be somebody like that. And just in case, I have this set up to help me protect myself if something was to happen. Do you think we need these things?
No, I don't think so. I think women go with these things. It's not something that is necessary, but they go with these things because there's so much cases of victim blaming. There are so many cases of sexual harassment that are thrown out of the window. So women feel like they need to bring in evidence because they've seen other survivors losing their cases. They've seen other survivors not being heard. So I guess we need a culture where survivors are actually paid attention to, they are supported, so that other women don't have to go with tools and all that, so that they know that their word counts for something.
Yeah. I think, so.
Yeah, and I would think that's a good sign, right? Because like you said, Tone, this is an age-old problem, and a lot of it persisted because we perpetuated a culture of silence. And so the fact that you do have people speaking out, you do have people comfortable, staying at their job, even though they're suing their employer, I think it speaks to the safety, once again, the safety that people feel in being able to bring this out. And then the, I don't know if the word is hope or belief that justice will prevail. Because for far too long, victims, I'll say victims or survivors, and actually that's the best word, survivors, when they were being victimized, stayed silent because there were too many situations where those who came forth, nothing happened to them. So it was like a feeling of being defeated. Like, what's gonna happen? Nothing. You know what I'm saying? So why would I say anything? The only thing that's gonna happen is I'm gonna lose my job. Well, the fact that we have more people, like I said, willing and able to come out, to me, that speaks to the progress that we've made in those areas.
That's right.
Great.
Well, guys, we're going to cut it now on this episode. Nimi, we thank you from calling us from Nigeria. Nigeria. I'll never pronounce it right. Nigeria. We thank you from all the way from the motherland. And we wish you a great success in all of your endeavors and that things just go right with what you're going through and whatever your situation is. We wishing you the best in that area. And we thank you for coming on this late at night. So should it be about a little bit after 10 o'clock there in Nigeria, or going on 11? Well, it's pretty late there, I know. But we thank you. We thank you for answering the call to join our podcast.
Does she have a service that she would like to?
It's Nigeria.
Nigeria. Do you have any contact information, or if there's anything you want our listening audience to know about what you're doing? Is there any website, any YouTube page, Instagram, anything that they can join or follow you for anything? Ms. Nimi?
No.
It might be a delay.
Yeah,
it might be a delay. She's over there in Africa. But if she jump back in, that's what what's she saying right here? Yeah, what's your website or email information? That's good. So guys, we're gonna just move farther real quick into the next segment. What is that next conversation we're talking about?
We have a video. I should have a video. We're gonna be talking about shopping while Black. That's our title. It's Shopping While Black. We're going to kind of talk about shopping while Black is a phrase coined to describe the mistreatment that African Americans routinely encounter in retail establishment, including being followed by stores security.
Yeah. We see that you probably get. No, Ms. Nimi, we were just saying, is there any information that you would like our listening audience to know? Oh, there we go. Here we go. Well, we have some information up. That's good. No email or anything such as that matches. But that's good.
Oh yeah, I guess that's NG Women for Peace. Is that your website, Nimi?
She's
gone. Yeah, so NG Women.
Just let her know that we got the information. And then we just cutting it now. But we'll talk to her next time so we can pull it down. Or did she pop back in? So yeah, Miss Nimi, we're saying that we're ending the podcast now, but we got your information up here on the screen. We got your information up on the screen. Is there anything you want to leave with us?
I'll just say we should create a world that is more conducive for everyone, regardless of their gender, regardless of their sexuality, and respect people's boundaries, support survivors, and when you can support them, ensure that you link them to people or organizations that can support them, because them getting justice is important for other survivors coming out, breaking the silence, and the rate of sexual harassment reducing. So perpetrators need to get punished, so others don't become perpetrators. Yeah,
that's right. So we enough said. We think that was greatly said, and we thank you. And we'll be reaching out. We might be reaching out back at you for our connect over in that area. So we thank you for joining the show, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
All right,
Bye.
no problem.
Thank you.
All right. See you soon.
Thank you.
All right. So in our next podcast, we're just going to go ahead.
We got a video we're going to play. We're going to just talk about, it's a lot of African American or Black people have experienced being followed by security guards while shopping, being questioned about their ability to pay, being forced to wait longer than white customers, and generally being treated disrespectfully when seeking customer service. So in fact, in a 2016 Gallup poll, 25% of African American people reported being treated unfairly in a retail setting in a previous 30 days. So we're going to kind of talk about that. I do have a quick, I should have a video of my producer. Well, the producer should.
Okay, before we play the video, what sparked that was this. What happened? We were, okay, so a couple of weeks ago when we were in Florida, right? We were in Florida, and it was my daughter's birthday, so we took her to the Coach store to buy her, get her something, whatever it was, right? So, you know, and everybody was there, like all of my kids were there, and we were all in the store. And my kids, they were looking around, and they were in a particular area of the store. And me and my wife, every time we go to Florida, we go to this particular Coach store. So we frequently go there when we in town. So we took them there, and it was this security guard, Black guy, security guard. He was standing to the side. And as soon as he seen them go into the store, he came and walked around, and, you know, in other words, he went where they were, and he stood there watching them. I mean, just stood there watching them, making them uncomfortable. So, you know, as I was looking at some shoes or whatever, my daughter came up to me and she was like, well, you know, Dad, the rest of them, you know, they left out because they felt uncomfortable. I didn't even know that they left. You know, I don't remember seeing them leave. And I said, what do you mean? And he said, because the security guard just came over there and stood by them and were watching them, and they felt uncomfortable. So they left. So I got upset. I got upset immediately. And in me, it was, you know, because I said, okay, well, just calm down. And, you know, you got to make sure you approach this in the right way. So I got myself under control, because I went from 0 to 10 real quick. So I got myself together before I even said anything. So I walked around to see him, just to see what would he do. So what I did was I kind of walked around and see where he followed me. So he didn't necessarily. Well, he followed me. I guess he followed my wife, but then he looked over at me. So I looked back at him, and then the lady that was in the store, like, you know, the salesperson, she was like, hey, you know, how you guys doing and all that. So I walked up to her and I made sure he was standing there. And I said, listen, you know, my kids, they came in the store, you know, they were looking around, and your security guard made them feel uncomfortable, so they left. And I said, just so you know, we always come into the store when we in town, we out of town. And I said, we came here, you know, to shop and purchase some items. I said, now they all had money. And I said, you just lost a sale because they feel uncomfortable because of your security. And I made sure I pointed it out. I said, because your security guard over there, you know. And then I said, and I said, nobody's in here to do anything. She's like, oh, well, you know, that's, you know, we don't want, you know, you guys to feel that way. And I said, well, you know, I'm just letting you know, you just lost some sales. And my wife was going to buy something. She had a couple of things. And because I put my stuff down, she put her stuff down, but we still bought our daughter the purse because that's what she wanted, right? So we got her the purse, and we told the person at the desk, and now the security made them lose quite a bit, a couple of dollars. That, you know what I mean? Yeah, and we just left. You know, we left, but I made them understand that you just lost this sale because of us feeling uncomfortable about what they felt and how they felt. So we all just left the store.
And you know what? He was doing his job because I'm quite sure that people got on him to tell him what I need you to do when
Yeah.
people come in the store. So he's probably just doing what they told him to do, as a security.
Yeah, but see, here's
officer.
the thing on that. The thing to me on that, there's a difference between doing your job and making somebody feel uncomfortable. If I give you a reason to make, if you look suspect, right, then I can look at this situation and say, okay, what are they doing? Let me make sure that I ease around there, but I don't stand in front of them where they can see me.
Right. See,
now that's a total different situation than doing your job and making me feel uncomfortable as because I'm still a customer coming into your store. So you make me feel like I'm a customer and not like I'm a thief. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
So
do you think your children were profiled because they were young?
Well, I know they were. I know that they were, and they were young. And then when they move around, whenever we go somewhere, sometimes they get into group. They get like in a group thing where they standing around.
And they just standing around.
Yeah, they just standing there. And I know that could be something, when young people get in a group, they don't know if somebody trying to steal something or not. But give them the benefit of doubt. Don't just assume that they're going to edge it on. Look and see. He made it too obvious that he was looking at them. He made it. I mean, anytime they felt that uncomfortable and left the store, he made it very obvious that he's looking at them and what they were doing. And I just made that note. I said that he made them feel uncomfortable. And I think that to me is the focal point, making me feel that way instead of making me still feel like I'm a customer, but I'm doing my job. I know how to ease by, probably look at a shoe, stand at the shoe. I'm the security, walk over there and say, or even say, hey guys, how you guys doing? While I'm walking past. You know what I mean? See, that would make them understand that I am in this presence and I'm there, other than just standing there and doing this.
Right.
I mean, come on, you know what I mean? So,
but I mean, this is age old too, right? Because I've experienced being in a grocery store, and I done looked up a couple times and saw this same person walking around with no groceries, no, you know what I'm saying? But I was on this side of the store and I'm on this side of the store, and you still I know you're following me, you know what I mean? And it is offensive, but I guess what is that line? Like, put yourself in their shoes. Like how do you do your job? Like, my thing is, if you're gonna don't profile based on my skin color.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, if you're gonna be watchful of people who might be suspicious or people who are profiled to be highly likely to steal, then that better go across the board for every race. It ain't just Black folks, okay?
Exactly.
Right.
I can't hear you, RW3.
That's good. We want to put this video on too real quick. I want to play this video, producer, the first link right in our document.
Go ahead, RW3, while she doing it.
But there is something because in terms of theft loss prevention, there's, of course, a certain amount they put in for loss because they know theft is going to happen. They got a percentage in terms of a threshold. But would you all agree or disagree that there's a certain amount of profiling necessary based on statistics in terms of, you have to do some level of profiling, to prevent criminal activity. You have to do some type of, based on stats, you have to do some type of profiling based on patterns of behavior or crime statistics. That's police work. That's loss prevention. But how do you do that in a way that's fair and equitable across all races? But you do have to do some profiling with respect to behavior patterns with people in terms of stealing.
Well, see, here's my thing though with that word profile. See, this is a thing where you know, profiling, to what degree? You do what I mean? So what is that based on? Is that based on skin color? Because it can be based on, is that based on dress code? What is that based on? I walked in there with gold on. I walked in there with Coach on. I walked in there with brand name clothes on that look like I can afford whatever this inside that store. So I'm saying, what do you mean? You know what I mean? What is the profiling that it would need to happen, and to what degree? Am I homeless, looking like I'm about to steal something? Do I got a big coat on and I can slip something in? If I got just a t-shirt on and some shorts, and all of these items are big items where it's impossible to steal this stuff and take it out of the store. I mean, what is the level of profile? You know what I mean? Because my thing is that I don't know if that's something that you can look at.
I mean, the profiling, I just think you.
We waiting on you, RW3.
But what? You there?
Yeah, we can see you. We can see you. We looking at you.
Jazzy, play that video.
Spit it out, or just spit it out.
Okay, so the thing about it is, let's take like larceny, for example, because in preface, I was looking at some stats. So whites are 2 times more likely to commit the crime of larceny. So I don't care what you got on, since they're 2 times as likely to do it. If I see a white in an environment where larceny might take place, I will keep more of an eye on this white person because they're 2 times as likely than any other and 3 times more than Indians to commit larceny. So based on that, should I not pay attention to that?
No, you shouldn't, because here's the thing. It's how you pay attention. See, it's a stupid way of doing it. And then there's a reasonable way of doing it. Me staring you in your face is not the way to do it.
But would you say that that's subjective, Tone? Like to me, each person is going to have their own. But each person is going to have their own level of comfort. Like for you,
staring you in your face. I mean, this was obvious. This wasn't a thing where this wasn't a thing where you play it off. This was an obvious stance where I moved. When you moved in that room, I moved in that room, and I got into an area where I could see everything you're doing. Soon as I walk into the store. See, so some things are just plain on stupid. It's obvious that you just lost some sales. I mean, it was fine with me. You just lost my money. You know what I mean? That's on you. You know what I mean? You lost sales. And the lady was like, hey, listen, we're very sorry. We're definitely not trying to make someone feel uncomfortable. You just lost $500 and $600 in sales. That's on you. We just went to another store and bought something. Who didn't treat us that way? You know what I mean? So I mean, it didn't make me feel uncomfortable. It made my kids feel uncomfortable, but because of them, you lost my sale and possibly their sale, my wife's sale. Are you gonna be that foolish running a business that you lose money because you don't understand how to surveillance a situation other than making somebody feel uncomfortable? Maybe you need retraining. See, so that's the thing. I like to stay away from the word profile because that's what we're doing now. That's why our Black people are getting shot in the street now because of profiling, and they set a standard. Yeah, they stereotype it. So I definitely want to stay away.
What word do you use?
Huh?
What do you call it? Or don't call it anything.
Okay. I don't have a call for it because, see, it's not my job to call it. It's your job to do it, but it's your job to make sure you do it in a non-defensive way because it's you who losing money. So I'm not going to call it anything. I'm going to call you lost a sale. You know what I mean? That's what I'm going to call it. But my thing is this. That if these people, because see, here's when we use the word profile, I think they got the what is that? The AI now. They got the AI that's out, artificial intelligence, where the police officers are now using it now, where it gives a description of someone who can possibly commit a crime. And do you know they got it in their some police officers are now using it within their police cars. I think Amazon has something to do with it, where now they're profiling you through a computer system. The computer is actually profiling you. I mean, so what if they get it wrong?
Right.
You know what I mean? What if they get it wrong? Who you think they're gonna load up to fit that description? You get what I mean? Pants down to the waist. You know what I mean? A young person at a certain age category.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What they ride or the description that they have on in terms of clothing. But so what if I dress like that, but I could be a millionaire? Are you going to use that to?
Well, I think that, like you said, I think the profiling is inevitable, but it's how you approach the situation that makes the difference. And I think that's the key, because unfortunately, you know, you do have young folk that steal. You know what I mean? Like and I'm sure somebody can pull up statistics on that, but you know what I'm saying? Like, there probably is a higher likelihood that if you see a bunch of young folks in like a high retail store, that's going to be suspicious. But it's how you approach that, like you've been saying, Tom. Like, even if they do fit a profile, you don't quickly make an assumption. You know what I'm saying? Right. You have that bit of information. It may prompt you to go up to them and say, you know, is there anything I can help you with? Is everything okay? You know what I'm saying? And then go on about and then walk away. You know what I mean? Right. Not like you say, stand there and, you know, watch their every move. That's right. So it is about, I agree with you. It is about approach. You know, what do you do with that information? How do you approach the situation with that information?
Yeah. And I guess that's what, you know, I'm looking at. I definitely for Black people, you know, that's how we're in trouble now, because we match a profile. You know, that word is deadly. Profiling is deadly. And I'm going to be honest, to some degree, I don't know how, they should do away with that. That terminology needs to be done away with, because it has affected our community on so many levels, where now it's become a stereotype that you know, you profile this person who looks this way, who does this, and you use the word behavior. Now there's a way that you can know if someone is committing a crime. You should be able to, just if you go back and do all of the different videos that you've already seen, I'm quite sure that they do see something, but it shouldn't be when I step up into the store, you fit the profile. No, that don't make sense to me. When you step in the store, when your toe, step in that toe, boom, there they go. Watch them.
Watch them.
What? What do you mean? Watch me. You know what I mean? You don't know who I am. You don't know. There's a lot of millionaires walking around who dress plain as possible. They don't even look like they own the money, have the money.
Yeah, I'm gonna show you the video. I got the two videos. Play the one person. Then I had the one with Damon.
Okay.
I have both of those videos.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
Can you play that second one? Oh, you play this one first.
Depending on where you shop and what you look like, a recent study found we have different experiences.
Our Jason Fraser explores what has been called shopping while Black and the discrimination many of us experience every day.
We were celebrating her success and also lamenting that she was leaving us, but it was still a festive occasion.
It was supposed to be a joyous going-away party for nearly 40 of Colleen Williams' Delta Sigma Theta sorority sisters at this now shuttered Beechwood Bahama Breeze. Instead,
I was so humiliated. The service was poor. The remarks that were presented to us along the lines of, you and your people cannot leave that room. Once you're in there, you cannot leave that room.
Williams said the restaurant didn't provide enough wait staff, forcing members of her party to go up to the bar for their orders. Fed up, the group asked for the check and decided to leave, but things only escalated once police were called.
And now they're demanding their check. If they don't get it, they're just going to walk out with nothing. Oh, they're walking out without paying?
Well, they're threatening to do that. So.
We weren't there to dine and dash. If that had been the case, honestly, Jason, it would have occurred within the hour that we got there, after you received your food.
Williams says after settling the tag, they left, but she decided to take action, believing employees discriminated against her because of her race.
It was language, it was tone, it was body language, it was the lack of reception.
As a civil rights attorney, this is something we see far too often. And people bring the biases that they're socialized with to work, both implicit and explicit biases.
Dorsey Butler says he experienced that bias at this Streetsboro Lowe's last year. He says he was told one price for flooring. However, when he went to purchase it, the flooring came up at the non-sale price. When Butler tried to question the price, he says a Lowe's employee didn't believe him and said,
when we come into the store, we do things trickery. What do you mean trickery? And he, stuttered in his words. That's very insulting.
Butler did get the flooring he needed at the sale price, and he filed a complaint with the Ohio Civil Rights Commission. It's an example of what Case Western professor Dr. Cassie Pittman Clater refers to as shopping while black, the idea that African Americans aren't treated equally in retail settings.
So that could be in the form of excessive surveillance. It could be in the form of being completely ignored. So not greeted, not welcomed, not offered products or services.
How African Americans are treated in retail environments is the subject of the Case Western University professor's latest study.
When we actually look at who shoplifts, groups shoplift equally. So African Americans are not more likely to shoplift, but they are more likely to experience surveillance.
Pittman Clater.
That's what it was. Man. Obsessive surveillance. That's what it was.
It's because of her work, Sephora reached out to her to determine how to prevent the problem in their stores.
My goal as a researcher is to improve the experiences of consumers of color like myself, like my family members.
Her year-long Sephora study found that 3 out of 5 shoppers experienced some sort of racism, and it wasn't just limited to customers. 60% of retail employees saw bias at their stores. Sephora said in an email, quote, "Our goal was to measure the problem, identify actions that mitigate bias, and create an environment that truly serves all."
Consumers are rarely reporting this to the company themselves when they have these unsatisfactory experiences, and part of that is due to the fact that they feel like when they report it, nothing will be done.
Sephora said it is making it easier for shoppers to detail their experiences within the company's app. Other changes include a new greeting system, a greater effort to recruit diverse employees, and ensuring Sephora's marketing reflects the community it serves.
Let's go to the next video, Jasmine. RW3, before you came on, she said something that was very interesting. She said that and I guess you guys put it to the, what did she said something to the degree that blacks, whites, everybody is, in terms of a profile, they all have the same. She said, but what it is she said that African Americans are somewhat over surveillance. And I think that's what happened there. He was over surveillance. I knew it was something, because he stood there in front of them, looking at, that's over surveillancing this situation where they, to the degree, felt uncomfortable and left. And that's what it is, that it's over surveillancing. And I think you have people, and that's to remind you now, that store was not big at all. It was like only 1, 2, 3, 4 rooms, pretty much. So it wasn't like a big shopping. It was no bigger than your Foot Locker or something. It wasn't big at all. So you can look directly. They just had different rooms in here. So that's the key. I think she said it very great, where she said that over surveillancing, African Americans be over surveillance, because everybody, you can't. If we look at the definition of what profiling is, that's you need to take that away. You need to take that away, and you need to throw that. But you need to look at behavior. You need to look at behavior, profiling and behavior. I guarantee we look up the definition, we probably can look at, some different terminologies within that area. Now I can look at your behavior and see that you look a little, something don't seem right. Because of your behavior, you're looking around to see if anybody looking, you doing this a lot, you know what I mean?
But if you're just shopping, you walking around, because I remember seeing somebody in Macy's, when he was in Macy's, this white guy, he was playing it off like he's shopping, he was just looking, he was like looking like he going through the rack and stuff. Everywhere we go, I kind of see him like he looking through the rack.
Looking at his behavior.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Let's play this other video real quick. I want y'all to see this one from Damon from the Shark Tanks. He did one. Look at this video. After this ad.
Over the past 10 seasons, our hidden cameras have captured.
Can we speed it up? Because I don't know. Do he go on? Is he the first one? I think it's
time
another
to
one.
celebrate some of our. Well, we bring along a $250 million shark, someone who knows a bit about that.
As soon as I walk into Solver Castle, just get that feeling.
Everyone is always reminding people to follow their.
When you move it up enough, it'll make you see another ad.
That Disney
Oh.
still the same magic of Disney that I've always loved.
It's about to be done now.
Fashion and what it's like to be profiled.
Hated it. I'm out.
That's right, Damon John, founder of FUBU Clothing, investors, Shark Tank. He sat with me behind the scenes to watch this all unfold.
We're gonna do it next after this.
Yeah.
Hello there.
Hey, how you doing?
Hi. Is there something you're looking for?
Just checking out the jackets right now.
You know that's a $600 jacket, right?
Okay.
All right. Just want to let you know.
Right off the bat, our salesman makes things uncomfortable.
Sir, we do have a lot of cameras throughout the store. I just want to make sure you're aware of that.
Is this for real?
I just want to make sure that it's not bothering
No,
you.
they're staging this.
Okay.
Why would he be bothering
I just
us?
wanted to make sure. I want to make sure customers are.
Well, no.
I would rather be spending my time and attention with, ladies like you that are obviously able to afford, clothing in the store.
I'm not able to afford. I don't even have a job. She
But it's
doesn't. She's in
obvious,
med
man.
school,
Come on,
and I'm a stay-at-home mom.
You have a Louis Vuitton bag. You guys have.
I mean,
See what I'm
honestly,
saying?
he probably
Clearly-
has more money than we do. If he's looking at $600 jackets.
I highly doubt that.
Crystal Harrison is incredulous. And then our salesman makes it crystal clear.
I mean, 9 times out of 10, if somebody steals something, they're black, okay? I mean, that's pretty much how it goes. It's not racist. It's just
Profile.
It's the facts, okay? It's not about racism. You guys watch the news. I mean,
He's not bothering us.
okay.
You're more bothering us than he is.
She said you're more bothering us than he is.
Aren't you being rude to him? What if he's like a celebrity?
It struck me that you were laughing throughout it all.
Well, because I was so uncomfortable, so I had no idea what to do.
It was nervous laughter.
Yeah, I'm still really nervous.
We're at it again with Damon John riding shotgun. And what he sees doesn't surprise him.
I really don't think we have anything that's going to interest you, sir. We're very kind of a classic gentleman look.
I don't know what that
They're
means, but
basically
I'm just
trying to
gonna
get
consider it.
reactions
I
out
have a
of
credit
the
card. I can pay
people
for this.
You
to
have a
see
credit
what
card.
they
I
would
do have a
say.
credit card. Want to see it? Here it go.
We don't take stolen credit cards, sir.
Come on, man.
I'm
What makes you
sorry.
think my credit card is stolen?
Not a word. Even when our salesperson gets security involved.
Gonna have to pat you down.
I don't believe this, man. This
That
is
never
nasty.
happens.
I
You
mean,
can get in so much
off.
trouble
Okay.
that would happen.
It's
I think they
I
overdoing
don't
it.
even think. I'm just looking at the clothes.
We have to protect the merchandise in the store.
Gabriel is clearly not getting any help from our
He's an
sales.
actor too.
He approaches this next woman for some advice.
Excuse me. Can I get your opinion? Does this look good?
Is he bothering you? I'm sorry.
Does it work with the hoodie?
No.
But again, our salesman is right there, thinking and saying the worst of Gabriel.
Sir, can I just take a look inside that jacket?
Why?
I
I
feel
don't
as though
think
you
that
may
normally
put
happens
something
like
in
that. I
jacket.
don't like really these
Yeah, they
examples.
was like they just want to react.
Yeah, they're trying to get
So
the
far,
reactions
no
out
one
of
seems
it.
to object
We
to
can
this
cut it because I don't think it's
tap
real
dance.
good.
That
It's
is
things
until
that
her
don't
husband,
normally happen.
Raul Sequeira, takes
Go
a
ahead and
step
cut it,
forward.
Jasmine. Oh, I don't know if that's a little extreme. You know what I mean? I will hope nobody's on people like that.
No, we wanted to see how people around reaction is too, to say when they step up, when they just say, is that wrong? You know?
Yeah.
But some of the things that I got out of that video was, again, using that word profiling. And that's exactly what he was doing. He had a profile in his mind that would say, this person is a thief. And you shouldn't, honestly, if you really want to know the truth, I don't know if that's the right terminology. I think you should look at behavior. You know, not set up. If that's a part of profiling, then so be it. But I think you should look at behavior more so than how you look. You know what I mean? What you have on. Notice he said to the white women, you have this purse, just like I told you where I came in the store. Where I mean, I'm a shopaholic. You know what I mean? I got so much stuff, but I'm not saying anyway. Well, I'm gonna make sure wherever I go, you better believe I'm going to that place right. You get what I mean? So my thing is, I know you couldn't look at me and say, well, this person meet the profile as a thief. You get what I mean? So I'm going to make sure that, because I was raised that way. You get what I mean? So wherever it is, if I'm going to buy a suit, I might have a suit on or be dressed up to look like I can afford what it is I'm buying. You get what I mean? So maybe it's because of a black thing. You know, I don't know. You know what I mean? So what you say?
When I go into the grocery store that I often go to, and it's anyway.
Predominantly white. Go ahead.
But anyway, so as I'm exiting, they have somebody standing there, and I'm like looking at them, waiting for them to ask to see my receipt, right? Because if you just let the other person go out the door and you didn't ask them for a receipt.
Ready for a fight. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, like, my thing is equitable. You know what I'm saying? Like, if that's gonna be your policy, then you better be doing it for everybody. Because the minute that I feel like you're profiling me, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just spent hundreds up in your store, and you gonna ask me to see my receipt because a bottle of water is sitting out. You better get out of here.
But let me throw this at you. Hold on. Let me say this. Now, you don't know. I'm playing angel's advocate. You don't know, for example, let's use the police. They can't, in theory, not saying that they don't, based on color. But what they can do is this, though. They can say, because, if you're on the freeway, a lot of people are speeding, say, on the Lodge, right? So the police can say, every fifth speeder, I'm going to pull over. They can do that. They can do every third Durango. Right. So, for example, with you, Tracy, they can say every 10th person, I'm gonna check your receipt. And you don't know that you're not that 10th person. Because everybody, like Tom said, like, how do you do it? How do you do it in a respectful way? Checking everybody, people will get on your nerves when they just bought something. You need to have some type of system to do random checks on your loss prevention program. So if it's every 10th person, I don't understand. You can ask
that randomness can be easily perceived as bias. So I disagree. I think if you're gonna have certain stores, every single person has to show their receipt before they exit out the.
But here's the thing though. They're violating your rights. You technically don't have to show them your receipt. Let me tell you this.
Really?
I used to have a problem and I wouldn't show them my receipt. I'll just walk out the door. When they ask for it, they never will come after me. But I was trying to do it right, to try not. The Bible said, strive for peace with everybody. So now I'll let them do it. But you don't have to. There's no legal standpoint. See, we got our rights violated every day. All you gotta do is pull it up. You don't have to, by law, show them. There's nothing they can do to you if you keep walking, as long as you got your receipt on your hand. Because here's the thing. They stop their loss prevention because they don't want to pay, and they make you contribute to the process, and you don't have to. See, they don't want to pay nobody no more. So they make it seem like they be intimidating by the door to make you feel like, and you automatically, you just give it to them. You know what I mean? But when I checked into that, you don't have to give them your receipt. You don't have to show them anything, because they should have been paying attention to you when you left their register. So when you walked out, you could keep on walking as long as you got your receipt and you know you ain't stole nothing. That's on them. If they harass you, you can turn around and sue them in court for harassment. You know what I mean? You can get in your car and drive off. They can't look it up.
Costco, they make you. They be right by the door.
You can still
everybody be.
Listen, I'm trying to tell you. Just look up the law. Talk to a lawyer. I mean, if you don't want to just have no recourse and go through all the pain and stuff, you know, maybe most of them say, yeah, just show them the receipt. It's no big deal. But you can't go to jail. Nothing can happen to you because you walked out the door if you have your receipt. That's on them. You know what I mean? So that's something that I looked into years ago, unless the laws change. Unless the laws change, because I was upset with that, because certain stores was doing that, but certain stores wouldn't do that. Now, you know, why everybody don't do that? Why every store?
You know what? Tone, you're right on that one, bro. Matter of fact, people make the Fourth Amendment argument about unlawful search and seizure. So you're right. I'm looking at this lawyer talking about how they said, you know, like you said, just show them, but really, you know, you don't have to.
Oh, this one person at Walmart, he tried to beat me down.
Unless they got reasonable reason to know that you stole something. It says like they got reasonable suspicion that you
Exactly. If not, you can keep on trucking out that door. You know, and the only reason why I show them now is just I'm just trying to be, you know, helpful. I'm just trying to say, yeah, okay, let me help you with your stress levels. Yeah, here you go. But at first, it was some days where I was just saying, when I first had that attitude, I was just walking out the door. I just keep on going. They'd be like, and they'll just look at me. They wouldn't come after me. But I say, you know what? I'm going to start. I'm not going to be rude. I'll show them, because I felt some kind of way. Like, why you need to look at my receipt? You didn't see me pay for this.
That's what I'm saying.
After all this. So I'll just keep
you're ready to fight femininality.
Excuse me? Did y'all see what the producer put up?
Yeah, I ain't know they be still in that self-checkout.
But see, here's the thing. I don't care. If you didn't catch me.
Let me read this.
If you didn't catch me, tell her what it says.
It say, I heard from a Target employee that quit her job say something along these lines, that those who steal via the self-checkout, Target does now, they have a way of keeping record, and they wait until you steal a certain amount of merchandise, then they could send you to jail to report it.
Right, but if you ain't stole nothing, they can't see. That's if you stole. But if you didn't steal, you can walk out that door. And if you just want to be nice and have them market, you know, have them do their little job, but they're using you to save money for their loss prevention department that they done fired everybody. So they got this little person.
I'm glad I know. I mean, I'm usually compliant, but if I'm in a hurry, in a mood or whatever, I'm glad I know that now.
Hey, Lovely T, we already know that.
Yeah.
We know you good for a fight, so you never tell us that.
Yeah, and tell them you ain't got to say nothing. Say, here's my, you play.
No,
okay,
you should have told her that.
Yeah,
you should have talked about this offline.
But I guess all I'm saying is that it's a shame
that shopping while black,
shopping while black, right? You got to feel these type of ways because of how somebody else feel about you, and it's not true. We need to get rid of that profiling bull crap and start looking at behavior. Look at my behavior. Do I look like I'm stealing? If I'm saying, hey, how you doing? You know, and I'm talking to somebody saying, like, I want to buy this.
Could be somebody stealing like that though.
But I mean,
it's really hard to tell. It really is hard to tell. Like, I think you just have to put up, like, you know, good camera system.
Right.
And, you know, I know, like, in the hood, a lot of times the security guard's right there letting you in the door.
Right.
You know, so they setting the tone. Like, we got security in here. We will, you know, take your butt down. So, you know, you could do stuff like that. But, I mean, I agree with you, Tone. Like, all you have to do is dress a certain way to not fit the profile. And you can go in there and clean somebody out. You know what I'm saying?
So that's why the statistics are important because people might not give you the behavior that suggests that they're going to steal.
But the woman just said statistics is not a statistic. She said, I think she was an attorney. She said that everybody fit the same profile.
Right.
She said it's not a particular race. She said it's just called what blacks call over-assessed. What is that? What she say? Whatever.
Over-assessed surveillance.
Yeah, surveillance. Oh, yeah, whatever it's called. You doing it too much to black folks. So, but
I don't understand. But just think about that. I'm thinking about that in a sense where, like, we know for a fact, like, for example, drivers between 16 and 21 have the most accidents. Like, that's a fact. So
insurance goes up high.
Insurance goes. So I guess when we talking about, or we could even talk about drunk driving, and there are certain times of the year, like June and July, more drunk driving between the hours of midnight and 2 a.m. So certain things just happen. Like people between midnight and 2 or 3 a.m. more drunk driving than any other time period. So it would stand the reason that there'll be more police officers. Hold on, more police. Huh? Go ahead, WT.
I was gonna say, but to Tom's point, that's not race. You know, those are other factors: age, time, be more like, you know.
Yeah, it to me that's more behavioral than it is like, okay, that's a teen driving. Let me follow them. I'm gonna pull them over. They could, I mean, you know, you're gonna show some type of behavior if you out there. And you know, they need to check more people. I mean, I agree, you know, based on how their actions are, you know, what they're showing in their actions, more so because I'm black and I got a hoodie on. Remember they were saying with some kids, the black kids can't even wear hoodies. You mean to tell me I'm a profile because I got a hoodie on? It's been kids that say, I mean, fathers who tell their sons, don't put that hoodie on. I mean, come on, man. That's crazy.
I guess so. I'm just asking y'all because I'm really trying to learn why you wouldn't, for example, like with like let's just say something like burglary, 117,080 whites in 2019 burglary, only 2,500 American Indians. So you mean to tell me if you're looking at, we're gonna take profiling out. In terms of targeting police work, that number don't make a difference in terms of who you're looking at?
It's how you're looking at them. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that I just know for us, it becomes a problem. So
I agree.
Meaning being black. So you can't in this new society, well, in this way things are going. I mean, look how many people getting shot. I mean, just look at them. Look at them getting shot. It's dangerous to use that as you can't just use that anymore. You need to use other things involved because you have racist police soldiers out there. You know, you got racist soldiers out there who don't care about that. All they know is you fit the profile of what I hate. You get what I mean? And I'm gonna take you out. So my thing is that I think they need to look at more of a behavior, your behavior. I mean, you know, they need to look more towards the way you thinking, towards the actions you're doing. You know what I mean? You can think a way, and because the way you think, you do something. You know what I mean? It's more, if I can use the word, there's more concrete to what you're doing that make me look at you and say, okay, that's the person who fit this description. They doing everything that the last person does. Maybe they won't. I don't know. But you can put a suit and tie on and get away with something. So if I look at your behavior, you got the suit and tie on, but he's still looking a little fishy over there in that corner. You know what I mean? His behavior is showing me something different. So I'm just saying we need to get away from, do you fit the description in terms of the way you look? You know what I mean? Your color, what you have on. We need to get away from that. You know what I mean? Because it's killing people. I mean, it's literally killing people. So I think we need to change that because we're going to be at the height of all of that. Black people going to be at the height of all, Black and Latino going to be at the height of all of that. where you gonna pay the price. So if you don't give them a reason to try to come after you for a racist, situation, because if that's who you are as a person who just hate all black people, you know what I mean? Or he coming with his pants pulled down. He a thief. He's stealing. You know, he got his pants down. He got them cornrows in his head. He a thief. He's stealing.
Watch him 5 times.
And, oh, look, he got all them tattoos on. Yeah, he really a thief. You get what I mean? He got a whole sleeve
his
of
pants hanging down halfway down his butt.
mean, come on, man. We got that's why we killing people now. You know, and getting away with it. So I think.
Do you have an idea of what behaviors lend itself to, larceny? Like, I'm just curious.
Do I have it?
Yeah. Yeah, because you were saying you think the focus should be more on behavior, on suspicious behavior. So I was just curious, like, do you have examples of those, like what behaviors would raise suspicion that this person might be trying to steal something?
Like you were saying earlier, they were doing a lot, if a person is doing a lot of
yeah, to keep your eye on them. Yeah, hand
gestures and stuff. And
staying in a place for a certain length of time, or just something in the area. If they're high, do they show that they're on drugs? You know what I mean? Because a person with drugs act a certain way. I was just looking at San Francisco, because I was looking at, I got a relative who was thinking about moving towards that way. And I was looking at what was going on in those areas. And they said San Francisco has a very high level of break-ins. And then they had in theft because of the homeless drug situation that's going on in San Francisco, where now these people are actually going and they're still in there to feed their drug addiction. So you have a lot of people that's trying to take care of their drug addiction. You know what I mean? When they come in the store, do they leave out a little heavier? You know what I mean? To a certain degree, because maybe they had clothes stuffed up in there. I mean, those are some things I think I will focus more on than. You get it. I mean, it seems like this is an easy fix to me, rather than you just being black coming in the store. I need to keep my eye on this person because of their skin color. You know,
that's lazy. I agree. That's a lazy way.
And I think they have these different, and plus you have the levels of people in criminality. You have those who do it for a lifestyle. And I think it's more difficult to their behaviors because they're professional criminals when it comes to that. The 8 hours we spend a day trying to do right, they are professional criminals as opposed to just the petty change, shoplifter. Like that's you said, Tom, a professional will come in suited up. They'll come in, they won't just come in one time unplanned. They'll come in probably 3 or 4 times, 11 times, buy some, develop a relationship with the people where they trust them, and boom. The professional one is you have, like you said, Tom, because you can come in, not exhibit nothing, and come in and get a relationship with the people there, and they trust you, and then boom, like you might walk out and they go off, oh, we know you keep going, and you just stole something because they know you.
Yeah, they know you. But low key, the back in the day, I think I probably was about 16. My cousin, one of my relatives, I won't obviously say their name, they was showing us how to get away with stealing something, right? And it was clothes, right? So he was telling this particular person was saying, what you do is you go into the department store, right? You get 2 pair of pants and you hold them up, make sure they can't see that they 2 pair of pants. And you ask, can you go into the room to try on the pants? You get 2 identical pants and you try on the 1 pair and come out so they can see that they're on. But then when you go back in the room, you got that second pair. You put them on and put your other pants up under them, and then you come out with the same pair of pants that they thought you only had one pair, and you just walk out the door. You know what I mean? And that's what he said.
That's too much.
That's what he said too.
That's how Lovely T get that shirt she got on.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to get away with the crime. But I'm just saying, listen, that wasn't behavior. I mean, that wasn't me profiling. That was me. I came up with a plan. So it's behavior now, but you just gotta notice the behavior of what I'm doing. Because I can come in there, clean his whistle, talk to the people, be engaging in their faces, and walk out the door. You get what I mean? And you would have never known if you just didn't know how heavy my legs look now with them two pair of pants that I have on. I mean, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? So, but that was plotted out. You get what I mean? So, I mean, so it's just, I mean, anybody can do. Don't do it. We're not saying do that. We're not saying do that. This is a site that, you know, I'm just giving out something just to show you about behavior versus profiling because of how a person looks. You know what I mean? If it's depending on what that's considered to be. So, but yeah, guys, we just rambling. It was a conversation to talk on. We had our mark and everything. And guys, listen, we definitely would like you to share, like and share this page. If you find it interesting, due to us not being able to go live, going live anymore from YouTube.
Watch party.
Yeah, watch party. They cut that now. So, you know, but it seemed like we did get some likes, even though we
can go live still.
Yeah, we can still go live.
Watch party.
Exactly. And that's no one could do that. But that's why we're asking you to like and share. Like and share this video so that it can get kicked out there in what's going on, so people can watch it. You know what I mean? So like and share. Go to our.
When they do they get notifications? Like how will one get notified that we're about to come on?
Well, right now it's because of our voice, because we could add them and let them know that we're on. When we was doing the watch party,
well, we could just like send messages. That's it.
Yeah,
like
send messages. Yeah, like now. Yeah, so sending messages. But we've been out for a little while. We still get hits. You know what I mean? And the good thing about it, they see this window. So when it's playing, they see things that they see like it's interesting. They can just click on it. And then
and we share it like on our LinkedIn pages and stuff like that. So
so exactly, you know, so that's a good thing too. So and so guys, just like and share if you're interested in this. It's so much going on in this world that we, you know, it's so much to talk about. I think we're going to get back to some trending conversations that's going on out here. We're going to take a look at what's going on with this training officers
and the mental health of these officers.
Yeah, and the mental health. You can take that down now, Jessica.
That's going to be on our next file.
Yeah, that's going to be on our next one. So we want to get back into what's trending. I definitely want to get back to what's trending because it's too much going on, and maybe we can make a difference from our platform and get some interesting people on who can talk about what's going on and do it from that professional perspective. So we're definitely going to get more individuals back on in that area. So we just wanted to break off a little bit, but now we need to get back in it because it's just too much going on out here. Just take your pick. Go ahead. What are you about to say, Lovely T?
No, I'm just saying, there is a lot. There's a lot going on out here, and
I think I want to get into AI, artificial intelligence. I want to go and hit that and go into that area because I think that there's something going on in that area that I could put my conspiracy hat on. Let me put my conspiracy hat on. I can put my conspiracy hat on in a minute.
We're gonna buy one for every day time we talk about it.
Yeah, because I
know you ain't listen. You ain't had it on in a while, Tone.
Yeah, I got to get that because there's some more things that spark my interest in this artificial intelligence thing that's going on, which is taking over the world now, and why is that? You know what I mean? So is it to enslave people, or what would it be? Because we are moving towards not using our train of thinking and using a computer's trained way of thinking. Right now, I just seen an article where they had a new person in White Castle serving the burgers, and it wasn't a human. You know what I mean? So, you know, I mean, and now they got these little kids that look just like humans that are that can actually react to you. This one guy, I'm gonna buy this video. I'm gonna buy this video so I can look into the information, so I can show you the documentation of all the stuff that's out that artificial intelligence is taking completely over, and where do that leave us as humans? You know what I mean?
So that'll be an interesting topic.
Yeah, we definitely gonna shoot down that road. So guys, listen, it's not over. You know, it's not over just because I haven't talked about it. Don't think I'm not looking at it. I am all day, every day. I eat this stuff up. You know what I mean? So, but that's what I want to do. But be safe out there, guys, and take care of one another.
A lovely day.
Lovely day.